Do you ever feel like you're the only one holding everything together? Like if you let go for just a moment, everything would collapse? That's how I've felt for years, except I wasn't holding things together because I wanted to. I had no choice. I'm 25 years old, and for as long as I can remember, my life has revolved around taking care of my family. I have two younger siblings, Joseph and Katrina, and we all still live with our parents. Being the oldest, I was the first to get a job, and for years it was just me and my father working to support the household. My mother? She never worked. At first, I thought it was because she was sick or exhausted, but over time I realized it was her choice. She preferred sitting on the couch, watching TV, and overeating rather than contributing. When my siblings got older, they started working, too, but they never lasted long. Joseph got into trouble with the law, and Katrina always had an excuse. "It's my mental health," she'd say. But somehow she always had the energy to go out with friends. So the responsibility fell back on me. I worked double shifts, covered unexpected expenses, and made sure everyone had what they needed. I was exhausted. But none of that prepared me for what happened on my birthday. 2 days ago, I turned 25. You'd think after everything I've done for my family, they'd want to make it special. Maybe a small cake, a thoughtful gift, or at the very least, a heartfelt thank you. Instead, they handed me a bottle of body wash. Just body wash. Meanwhile, a month ago, when it was Katrina's birthday, she got a lavish surprise party, one we couldn't afford. My father told me he had enough money to cover it, so I declined when he first asked for help. But after the party, he came to me with the same old story. He had miscalculated expenses, borrowed money from bad people, and now feared for our safety. So, of course, I paid for the party. And Joseph? He got a brand new gaming system for his birthday. After everything I've done, body wash was all I was worth to them. Something inside me snapped. I looked at the bottle in my hands and felt this lump rise in my throat. My father, seeing my expression, frowned. "Why are you acting like this?" he asked. "You know our financial situation." I laughed. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was sharp, bitter. "Our financial situation?" I repeated. "The same financial situation that somehow allowed Katrina to have a huge party and Joseph to get a gaming system? But for me, it's body wash?" My mother started crying. "I hate it when you have these little outbursts," she said. Outbursts. That's what she called my emotions, because in our family, her emotions were the only ones that mattered. She could cry, complain, and make a scene, but if I expressed how I felt, I was being disrespectful. I didn't say another word. I just walked to my room, locked the door, and sat on my bed. I felt something I hadn't felt before. Pure, unfiltered resentment. How had I let this happen? How had I allowed them to treat me like this for so long? I knew one thing for sure. Something had to change. From that moment on, I started saving. I still paid for household expenses, but only the bare minimum. My extra shifts? That money went straight into my savings account. When my parents asked where the money was going, I told them it was part of my year-end bonus. They believed me. They always believed me as long as I was providing. 2 months later, I had enough saved for a deposit on an apartment. That's when I told them. "I'm moving out," I said, standing in the living room with my packed bags. The reaction was immediate. My father was furious. "So you're abandoning your family?" My mother shook her head. "After everything we've done for you, you're just going to leave?" Everything they'd done for me? I didn't even argue. I just said, "Mom, you've been telling me to get my own place for years. Well, here we are." She gasped like I had slapped her. "That's not what I meant." But I was done. I had already signed the lease, and 2 co-workers, Janet and Lisa, were waiting outside to help me move. My family refused to help me pack. They just sat there, watching as I carried out box after box. It didn't matter. I was free. That first night in my apartment, I lay in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling. No one was calling me. asking for money, demanding that I fix something. For the first time in years, I could just be. Over the next few weeks, I started rebuilding my life. I furnished my apartment, started socializing again, even went on a few dates. For the first time, I was living for me, my family. Silence. No texts, no calls. And then, a month later, my mother finally called. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't say she missed me. She just said, "Where's the check?" At first, I was confused. "What check?" she scoffed. "The money. How do you expect us to survive without your help?" I nearly laughed. "You have 2 other kids. What have they been doing?" She didn't like that. "How can you be so cruel?" "Cruel," I repeated. "You mean like making me work extra shifts to pay for a party I didn't even want?" That's when I told her I wasn't sending them anything. They needed to figure it out. Then I hung up. A few hours later, my father called. I didn't even pick up. That should have been the end of it. But my family wasn't done yet. A few nights later, I was hosting a small book and wine night with my friends when there was loud arguing outside my apartment. When I opened the door, there they were, my father, Joseph, and Katrina, shouting at the building manager. "They're family," my father said. "We just want to talk." I crossed my arms. At 10 p.m., that's when Katrina, looking around my apartment, sneered. "Wow, living large, huh? Why can't I move in?" I laughed in disbelief. "Because I don't need another freeloader." Joseph stormed in, knocking things over, yelling about how I was a terrible sister. My father refused to leave. Security was called, then the police. By the end of the night, my father and Joseph were in jail. Over the next few months, my family unraveled. My father went to prison for failing to pay damages. My mother, unable to support herself, spiraled into health issues. Katrina got arrested. Joseph, already a criminal, got a year in jail. Their house, once filled with 5 people, was now empty. And me? I was finally at peace. For the first time in my life, I chose myself. And I never looked back. Thank you for watching if you haven't. Subscribed yet? Please do so, and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around Found You.